greatest Avenger of all time, Captain America. This is a video kind of response to the one that my friend Stephen Doe, his link will be in the description. He did his love of Spider-Man and how he got into Spider-Man. But in this, I'm going to be discussing and showing some of the stuff that got me into the wider Marvel outside of Spider-Man and the X-Men, and into Captain America in particular. As I said, he's my joint third favorite Marvel character, but he's, in my opinion, the best Avenger, as in he embodies what an Avenger is, which I'll be discussing in a bit. Discussing how I got into the Avengers. So I've brought this up when talking about Spider-Man before, but what got me into Spider-Man was these magazines which had comics in, and they also had fact sheets and stuff like that. And that's really what got me into the Avengers, because of their appearances in these magazines and then the characters' fact files. And then I used to read, like, I remember the one that was about Captain America, I would just read over and over and over and over and over. And then that's all I really had, because I never really got comics back then, but I just kept going through and through. But then I was introduced to, I know most people don't like this series, but it's always going to have a special place in my heart, as it's what really got me into the Avengers and into the wider Marvel, is this TV show, Avengers: United They Stand, which has some really good stories in it, and also once again introduced Captain America in a on-screen format to me. And similarly, because in the pound shop which we have, they used to sell these, so I picked these up. And they also had Captain America ones, which also has from episode 5 onwards from this, it's basically the Avengers classic Lee Kirby run, about issue 3 onwards is in this. So this was also another exposure to the Avengers that I got, was in the Captain America animated series, which I watched because he was in the Avengers one. So it's kind of, I find it really hard in my mind, maybe because of that, but like I said, because he's in my opinion, the greatest Avenger. I always find, and that's why I'm doing a video like this, because I always find it hard to separate Captain America and the Avengers, as they've always been really intertwined. And when you think of an Avenger, if someone's asked me to name around an Avenger, I'd say Captain America, which I'll, like I said, be getting onto soon. But as I was saying, getting into the Avengers, it's not this one, because this is an updated one, but I had a Marvel encyclopedia, and I also had some of the old versions of these Avenger books, and I would use them together to basically gain knowledge on the Marvel Universe. And I feel there's quite a stigma against looking stuff up. Like, I've seen online, especially, like, people trying to get into comics, they're like, oh, you're a noob for looking up, or you're a wiki research or something like that. Yeah, and as long as they're trying, what gets me annoyed is when people just see the movies and then they think that they know more, and they're like, oh, I heard this in the comics, happened in the comics, without actually looking it up. That's what annoys me. But anyone who's trying, even someone who's just got one of these, I have respect for, because they're trying to look into it. And that's basically what I'm like with DC, because I know I'm Titans, Teen Titans, now Titans, and some Superman and Supergirl is basically all I know about DC. So if there's anything extra, I look into it. So if anyone tries doing the same with Marvel, I'd recommend getting one of these books, or if in particular these Avenger books. And as I'm going to show you, I have a Captain America one as well, which has all like loads of key stories in written up format, as well as characters associated with them. As like I said, this book has anyone who's ever been an Avenger in it, and like I said, I'll go through this and then look it up in either of the other books, which I found really useful. And as I would have said in the past, my favourite stories are Avengers. Like Age of Ultron, which I kind of class, the earlier issues I'd class as an Avengers. Early Avengers, Lee Kirby, Infinity, and anything Hickman. Like, I think I've shown, I don't think I've all it here, but the Hickman run of the Avengers, some of the best comic book storytelling, in my opinion, is this. And that's what got me into it. And also, oh, I forgot this. Also, what really got me into actually reading comics were these. I used to get these, so they have like 3 or 4 stories in them, and yeah, that's really what got me into the actual reading of comics. And the most important one to me is what got me into it, and this is then going to lead into Captain America, was Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Like, I started watching this when I was 10, and then watched it through when I was 11, and then really started watching it when I was getting really into Marvel. Before, it was just when I started high school, and I'd been bullied all the way through since reception, which is like kindergarten, I think, in North America and probably the rest of the world. But this, and I really had problems socializing and stuff, and I had really bad anxiety about going into school. And watching this show, as well as the 1990 Spider-Man series, which was on every morning, I know it's going to sound really cliche, it's what got me up and got me going into school, was this. And this is why Avengers and Spider-Man to an extent is so important to me, and Captain America, because they got me going. I wouldn't be able to do this if it was, like I said, it's going to sound cliche, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to go on the internet and speak to people if it wasn't for the Avengers. And what it did to help me boost the confidence, saying that you can, if you're suffering alone, you will always be better if you're working with people. And that's the core message of the Avengers, is that none of them are strong enough alone, but when they work together, they are strong enough. And that's what people really miss from the movies, the message, apart from Captain America. Like, Captain America's speeches in the movies, just a lot. I'm going to sound really sad. I tear up when hearing Captain America's speeches. Like, in the first Avenger, like, just his whole, let's go into Captain America. Just in the first Avenger, his whole attitude to wanting to help people just gets to me. But the most important episode of this is just after Captain America gets found in this, there's this one where he's really nervous about going out into the world and being an Avenger. And this episode came out, I didn't want to go. I remember the day, like, really, I remember it really well. I was beaten up the day before, and I was really sad, and I didn't want to go into school. I didn't really have the confidence, but then and then Captain America was like having really bad confidence issues, and then I was like, if Captain America, who is one of my biggest heroes at the time, was like, if he's going through that, then And if he's going to put on a brave face, I'm going to have to put on a brave face. And that's really what got me through it, was basically pretending to be Captain America, was getting myself through it, basically. And that's why I love the Avengers so much. And then the movie came out, and as you know, I've seen it 49 times. I'm going to be watching it for the 50th time a week today, where I'll be doing, like I did with Suicide Squad, a commentary on it. But it's one of my favourite films, and for the reasons I just said, and Age of Ultron, just because of especially, like I said, Captain America. Like, Captain America and Age of Ultron it's why he's my joint favourite MCU character, is his whole attitude of sticking together. And he knows that, like he said in Civil War, he knows people are going to judge them, and they can't save everyone, but as long as they try to save as many people as possible, that's what's important. And that's why I love the character of Captain America so much, and why he's one of my favourite, not just Marvel characters, but superheroes in general, is because of his whole attitude. People say he's a Boy Scout, but he's not, because he's never afraid to go against the status quo. And what he believes is right, and that's extremely commendable. And he gets like, writers get so much hate because of it, like that, and that's why I was devastated when it was revealed he was Hydra, was because of what he meant to me growing up. And I just finished high school, and it was like, I was reflecting back, like, I wouldn't have been able to do that without him when that happened. But the story that unfolded, I think, is brilliant. I know people hated it. I seriously don't get why, and I really like what they did with the character, and really breaking down what the character represents and means. And yeah, but thanks for watching, and I hope this didn't get too sobby. But there's something else I was going to show as well. I've got it here somewhere. This is the first Avenger comic I ever got, apart from the ones I showed with the collected ones. And this is, because this was the first issue I got, which I got in 2011, I think, or 2010, 2011 I got this. I was so happy when this suit was revealed to be the one he was going to be wearing in The Winter Soldier, because it was in the first issue I ever read. And this will always be an incredibly special issue to me, because it's the first Avengers issue I ever had, and one of the first, apart from these, that I read with Captain America. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and remember, just subscribe somehow.